Hello, 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 my dear BookTube friends. My name is Juan. I am just one reader, and these are my spoiler-free thoughts on the Dragonbone chair by Tad Williams. I enjoyed some aspects of this book, but just a tad. See what I did there? I'm so amusing sometimes. I just look at myself in the mirror and I go, ha 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 ha. So amusing. Honestly, that joke amused me more than this book did. This book, which is the first book in a long trilogy, the highly acclaimed, highly praised, super recommended trilogy, Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, this book was not good for me. This is very subjective, of course. That's what my reviews are, very subjective and incredibly ranty and bitchy and salty when things go wrong, and this is one of those times. So if you love this book in a Brandon Sanderson kind of protective way, do not watch this video. Why do you hate yourself? Anyway, excuse me. This book to me was the definition of a failed attempt. I gave it 2 stars. I almost gave it a 3. I hesitated. I almost gave it a 3, but in the end, it all comes down to the reading experience. If the book has so many great ingredients, like this one does, but the actual experience, the act of sitting down and picking the damn book up is not interesting or pleasurable or enjoyable in any way, shape, or form, then there's something really wrong with the book, in my opinion. You might be of a completely different mind. You might really love this book, and that's okay, because, you know, literature is not for everybody. We're not all wired the same as people and as readers, and that's great. This is not for me. Anyway, let me briefly tell you why. Everyone has been recommending this book to me forever, like ever since I first came on BookTube, which has been, you know, quite some time now. Everyone said Tad Williams is not the best, but one of the best. And in particular, you should try Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. I have some people, Leo from A Little Book Life, and Rick McDonnell, who is like this book's strongest spokesperson and advocate. By the way, if you are going to read this book, this series, you should go on Rick McDonnell's channel. Rick McDonnell, if you don't know, is the best booktuber reading the things that I like to read from Canada. And he has a series of videos on his channel talking about and really analyzing very, very deeply and wonderfully well this book. And I actually enjoyed watching his videos quite a lot. Like, I would read and then I would watch his videos, and that's what I did. But I ended up liking his videos way more than the book itself, which, you know, that really goes to show you how great Rick McDonnell can be as a content creator, as a person, and just hearing his beautiful tenor Canadian voice was great. But the book was not for me. So I was just like envious of Rick and everyone reading this book and going, oh, this is the greatest thing since, I don't know. And I was just like, no, this book sucks. This book doesn't suck. Or does it? No, it doesn't. Or does it? No, it doesn't suck. My big problem with the Dragonbone chair is that it just doesn't do any single thing wonderfully well. It does many things well, reasonably well, not exceptionally well, but just meh kind of well. That's a big problem for me. A lot of my expectations were not met. They were dramatically subverted and just changed. For example, many people said, well, Tad Williams is just a magnificent author. Like, he has one of those magnificently beautiful writing styles. I disagree. I think his writing style can be very beautiful sometimes. His writing style is certainly dazzling in terms of it can be very verbose. There are so many adjectives and so many adverbs and so many like prepositional phrases and stuff that I was an English teacher teaching Mexican kids, but I was an English teacher. I love the English language so much. I love it. It's probably my favorite language. But reading this book, I wasn't really dazzled like it was dazzling in a cerebral way, but I never felt the writing style to be comforting or part of the mood or part of the ad. Like Robin Hobb, when you read Robin Hobb, you really feel the writing style. When you read Patrick Rothfuss, you feel the writing, you feel that sort of melodical shape of the words. Here, Tad Williams is a good writer. There are some beautiful descriptions and scenes and dialogue and poems, and there's a lot of poetic nature. There's a poetic nature to his writing, but to say that his writing style is exceptional, I disagree. I think it actually sort of overstayed its welcome. It was too there, it was too present, it was always there, and it was like, can you please let me enjoy the story and the characters and the world and the religion and all of the interesting things that are going on besides the writing. So I do not consider that a great or exceptional writing style by any standard, but that's just me. Now, so I didn't really love the writing style. That's a big no-no for me. Then everyone agrees on the fact that this book starts out really slow and bad, and they call it the slog. And once you get to the second part of the book, it just really picks up. I found it to be the opposite. I really loved the first part, which is the slog. Are people on drugs? I don't know. Maybe I am wrong. But I don't think so. How could I be wrong? Anyway, I really enjoyed the opening of this book. We follow Simon and Dr. Morganis in this castle, a medieval setting with a beautiful world, with interesting peoples and lands and kingdoms, and there's this religion that is very interesting, and then there's this magic that feels dark and pagan and sort of like ritualistic and satanic. I really loved the first 200 pages of this. Then it completely went downhill from there. There's a chapter where we get to know a character that is so good, Benebik. And that was probably the most I enjoyed the book, and that was the last time that I enjoyed the book, because it was all downhill from there. The book becomes, for me, this is my experience of reading the book. The book from that point on becomes incredibly Tolkien-esque. And when I say Tolkien-esque, what I really mean is that it was so uncomfortable to be reminded of the Lord of the Rings in so many ways. Like, I know you can be Tolkien derivative and you can still be original and creative and fun, and this was just not for me, for Juan, this Mexican boy. This Mexican boy. This Mexican boy. Anyway, for this Mexican reader right here, yours truly, this was just not fun. It was just like, it was tedious. It was never interesting from that point on, up until the ending. No, the ending sort of saved it a little, but I'm not gonna bother continuing. I'm not gonna read book 2 or book 3. Have you seen how big those books are? Actually, these books right here, those white bricks that you can see on that shelf, those are books 2 and 3 that now I need to get out of my house because I will not be reading them. I don't think these books were for me, really. It was a gamble, and I tried and I failed. George R.R. Martin recommends it. I don't really like George R.R. Martin as a writer anyway. Patrick Rothfuss recommends this book. I love Patrick Rothfuss. I adore his books. Christopher Paolini loves this book, and we know the kinds of books that Christopher Paolini has written. So this book was a gamble for me. There was always going to be a possibility that I would really dislike it, or maybe really love it, you know. But in the end, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was just okay. It was there. It exists. It's a book that existed in my reading year. It's a book that took some time of my brain and some space in my mind and some time of my day. And I was never looking forward to reading it. And to me, that is the biggest indication that's the red flag par excellence. I'm French. That was the red flag par excellence. So yeah, I probably should have DNF'd this book sooner. Well, I didn't DNF it, I actually did finish it, but I probably should have DNF'd it. Because, yeah, it was never interesting. The characters are fine, but nothing really shines except Binabik and Kentakwa. The lore, the world building, the magic, it's very interesting at first. And then I was like, can we please move along? The story is nice, but it's nothing new, nothing refreshing, nothing really interesting. The writing style I already talked about, and you know, why bother? Now, I know my review might be making a lot of people really mad because a lot of people are really protective of this series, and I totally get why. I just wish I had enjoyed it as much. You know, it's something that has to come from the heart, and it didn't come from my heart. Also, I know that this review is very incomplete, and it doesn't really hold true because I haven't finished books 2 and 3, and I will not. I won't bother. But I know that with a trilogy, it is very harsh and very unfair to make all the claims that I'm making in this video, because if you haven't read the entire thing, because you know, I really think that a trilogy is just one book split into 3 parts. Like, if I were to judge some of my favorite series or trilogies, like The Lord of the Rings, or the Bartimaeus trilogy, or His Dark Materials, or many other series that I love, just by the first book alone, that's not fair, and that's not like a complete assessment, a complete, total, good enough sample of what the author and the trilogy will do. But that's just what I think, so what am I going to do? I'm not going to bother. Continuing on, I am giving this baby 2 stars. I'm sorry.